Okay, so let me introduce you to this concept called a file-based system. Congratulations, you've just been employed by the Sunshine Travel Agency. These guys do vacations or holidays, depending on where you're from all around the world, to different places. So if you want to go to Spain, you book it with these guys. You want to go to America, you book it with these guys. So these guys have files. They have a file for bookings. They have a file on their computer which has all the customer information as well. They have another file with a list of different destinations. So let's picture this booking. Let's do customer first. We've got a Mr. John Smith, who's a customer. We've got Mrs. Rachel Smith. They've got a Dr. Doolittle. They've got a Miss Katara. Destinations: Spain, England, nice place to go. France, USA. And now we've got our bookings file. Let me just make this slightly bigger so that I can fit more information. And bookings. Okay. In bookings, Mr. John Smith is going to France. Miss Rachel Ebanks is going to, let's say, USA. Dr. Doolittle has made a booking and he's going to, let's do Sweden. And Mrs. Ang is going to the USA as well. So we're keeping this all on our computer in, let's say, a Microsoft Word file. So this is like in Word, this is a different Word file, So this is our situation. Interesting, but we have some problems. Number one, if I said to you right now, okay, I want you to find me a certain destination. It should be quite easy because we've only got 3 files. So you go to the destination file and you should be able to find England quite easily. But imagine we had 1,000 countries. Imagine we had a destinations Europe, a destinations Africa. So we have different files for each continent. It becomes, I would argue, quite disorganized and hard to find information the more files we have. So that is a negative of us using this file-based system. But it's not the only negative. We've also got a concept called data redundancy. That's a big word. Let me say it again. Data redundancy. What do I mean by that? Well, do you notice how we've got customers which are repeated? So we've got Mr. John Smith here, we've got Mr. John Smith here, we've got France here, we've got France here. So data's being repeated. That isn't our issue. But what happens if data changes? So Rachel Smith got divorced. Her name is now, since she became a customer, Miss Rachel Ebanks. So we've got an Ebanks here, we've got a Smith here. They're 2 different last names. It's also Mrs. Miss. So we call this a data redundancy issue. The data now is not accurate, it's inconsistent. We made a change on this file because we noticed she's now divorced since she made a booking. So she made a booking in October, she's going on vacation in March, she got divorced in December. So we've updated it here but not updated it here, so we've got some redundancy there. This basically means that a staff member has to manually update this one as well if they remember to. It's the same with Miss Katara. Miss Katara got married to Joe Ang, or Ang. Joe Ang is now married to Mrs. Ang, so we need to update this, which has been updated, but this one has not been updated. It's still Miss Katara. We've also got an issue where it comes to, we've got Sweden here, but we're not going to Sweden in our destinations, so we've got some inaccuracies there. So data redundancy, and I'll give you some definitions in a bit, is simply where our data is inaccurate, it's appearing in multiple places, and changes are having to be done manually, but are leading to mistakes. And because of this, and because we're using a manual system, this is all manual, us having to type these updates, it's me having to do it. It's going to lead to not just data redundancy, but also inefficient data handling. Why? Well, if I wanted to search through all the bookings, as I mentioned, we're going to have to do that bit by bit manually. So if I said, find me everyone who's going to USA, this is easy. You can just say one person, two people. But if you had 10,000 customers, it makes the game a lot harder. So it's not that efficient for us to search for data, query data. I'm hoping you've seen where this is leading to. So at the moment, it's not easy for us to search, sort data. If I said, let's sort the data out in alphabetical order, it's going to be hard to do. But not just that. We could also have data in different formats by mistake. So what happens if somebody, for the customer, was to write in doctor like that with a full stop versus doctor like that versus doctor just like that. A human could quite easily enter it like this once, enter it like this another time, enter it like this another time. That means mistakes could be made. So we can have inconsistent data formats. That basically means it's going to be hard for us to search for information because it's inconsistent in the first place. What happens if our team grows and we've got, let's say, 30 people working for me, making bookings? Are we able to have 30 people accessing these files all at the same time and making updates? It's not made for that. So we're going to get issues with multi-access. What we might get is read-write issues. So whilst I'm making changes, you're not allowed to make changes. So imagine that you've got 30 people wanting to make bookings. I'm currently on the phone taking a booking from a customer. I then enter the information onto the system, but you are also on the phone to a customer, but because I'm entering data, you're not able to. That's because this file-based system isn't made for multi-access, so limited accessibility. And it's the same if you want to update information or whatever. And finally, all of us can have access to the same information. But let's imagine we had payment details. So if I just zoom out slightly. So let's add payment. Would I want, like, my ground floor shop workers, the guys who are like on the phones, to have access to people's payment information? No. I am the owner. I want access to their payment information because I care about that sort of things. But these guys shouldn't have any access to that. But because we're using this file-based system like Microsoft Word documents to store the data, security is pretty poor. It could lead to breaches, misuse. So this is what we've got so far with our file-based system. Disorganized data redundancy, inefficient data handling, inconsistent data formats, limited accessibility, and poor security. So what can we do about it? Well, folks, That is where databases come into it. Dun, dun, dun. Shock, horror.